My sister's wedding was supposed to be a celebration, not a declaration of war. But when my mom demanded I hand over the keys to my penthouse as a gift to the bride, and then slapped me in front of 100 guests for refusing, I knew things would never be the same. What came next? Well, nobody saw that part coming. I'm Christy. I'm 25, and I've always been the easy one in my family, not the golden child. That was my sister, Brielle. No, I was the one who smiled through the chaos, the one who didn't make waves, the one who was told to be grateful no matter how many times they overlooked me. And for a long time, I played that part. I played it so well, I started to believe that maybe I didn't deserve more. But let me rewind a little. Brielle and I are only 2 years apart, but if you ever saw how my parents treated us, you'd think she was royalty and I was just there. She was always the one in ballet recitals, getting makeup done, going on Europe trips with Mom while I stayed home with a sitter because you wouldn't appreciate it anyway. She was the one who got a brand new Jeep when she turned 16. I got handed down flip-flops and an IOU for driving. Lessons that never came, but I wasn't bitter. Not then. I convinced myself they just loved her differently. By the time we hit college, I hustled hard. I knew I wasn't getting any handouts. I worked 2 part-time jobs, got scholarships, and graduated with a double major. No parties. No spring breaks. Just grind Brielle? She flunked out of her first school, jumped into another, then dropped out entirely. Then came the influencer phase. Then the spiritual wellness coach thing. Then the yoga retreat phase. Every time she messed up, our parents swooped in like she was a fragile snowflake. Paid her rent, covered her credit card bills, bought her a new car when she wrecked the first one. I wish I was exaggerating. And me? I bought my first condo at 23. A penthouse. With my own money, tech job, equity bonuses, sacrifices. I didn't tell my parents until 6 months after the move. You know what Mom said? "Oh, that's nice, honey. So proud of you. Brielle's been so stressed lately. Maybe some space in your new place will help her breathe better." I laughed. I thought she was kidding. She wasn't. Fast forward to this past year, Brielle met Jason. Rich, charming, soft-spoken. I actually liked him. He didn't seem like her usual type. He grounded her. They dated for 6 months, got engaged, and Mom went into full Pinterest wedding mania mode. I wasn't really involved in the planning. I wasn't asked. But I was expected to show up, pay for the bridal shower venue, and let Brielle use my penthouse for some pre-wedding spiritual cleansing ritual. I said no. That's when things got icy. Dad called me ungrateful. Mom cried about how selfish I was. Brielle ghosted me for weeks. But I still showed up at the wedding. I showed up looking like success. Classy black dress. Hair sleek. Confidence in check. I greeted Jason with a genuine smile. He seemed relieved to see me. "You're the only one here who doesn't make me feel like I'm in a Broadway drama," he joked. I chuckled. "Give it time," I said. The ceremony was beautiful. They rented out this fancy vineyard just outside Napa. The whole aesthetic was Pinterest core. White roses, soft jazz, those annoying neon signs that say "Forever starts now." I stayed mostly to the side. Didn't want to steal any spotlight. But during the reception, as the speeches began, I noticed Mom kept glancing at me. Then she leaned toward Brielle, whispered something. Brielle smirked. Then came the moment Mom tapped her glass. "As part of our blessing to this beautiful couple," she said sweetly, mic in hand. "We want to surprise Brielle and Jason with a very special wedding gift. A penthouse apartment overlooking the city skyline. Cheers." Gasps. Everyone looked toward me. I froze. Brielle stood up, all teary-eyed, and mouthed "thank you" toward me. And I stood still, mouth dry. Then Mom added, "Christy will hand over the keys tonight. Isn't that generous?" The room erupted, and I snapped. I walked up to the mic. Calm. Collected. My heels clicking like gunshots on marble. "Actually," I said, gripping the mic, "I think there's been a misunderstanding. The room silenced. I love my sister, but I bought that penthouse with my hard-earned money. I wasn't told it was being given away as a gift, and I'm not handing over the keys. You could have heard a pin drop. Mom stood, her smile twitching. "Christy," she hissed. "Not now." "No," I said firmly. "Now's perfect." Brielle looked like she'd been slapped, but it was me who got slapped, right there, in front of 200 guests, half of whom had their phones out. My mother slapped me across the face, and suddenly, the music stopped. Literally. I blinked. People gasped. Someone dropped a champagne glass, and that, right there, was the moment things turned. The moment I stopped being the easy one, Jason rushed over. He grabbed my arm gently. "Come with me," he whispered. "Let's go somewhere private." We walked out back into the vineyard garden. Quiet, candlelit, crickets chirping. I touched my cheek. It stung. Not just from the slap, but from years of swallowing everything. Jason sat on a bench and looked at me. "Are you okay?" I laughed bitterly. "Honestly, I feel weirdly amazing." He stared at me. "I'm so sorry. That was insane." "Your mom isn't new to this," I cut him off. "She's just never had an audience before." Jason stayed quiet for a long time. Then he said something I'll never forget. "I don't know if I can do this." I looked up. "Do what?" "This marriage. This family. If that's how they treat you—" He didn't finish the sentence. I didn't press. We sat there. Two people drowning in a mess neither of us created. I eventually left. Called an Uber. Didn't even say goodbye. The next morning, Brielle posted a carousel on Instagram. "Married my soulmate. Best day ever!" with fake candid shots. My slap wasn't in them. Of course not. But the drama wasn't over. Oh no. 2 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Jason. And what he told me? Let's just say, everything I thought I knew about my sister, my family, and my own silence was about to get detonated, and I was done playing nice. When Jason called me 2 weeks after the wedding, I wasn't expecting anything except maybe a half-hearted apology, maybe some awkwardness, or some, "hey, no hard feelings" message to smooth things over. Instead, his voice was shaky, like he was nervous or scared. "Christy, I didn't know who else to call," he began. I sat up straighter on my couch, remote still in my hand, the Netflix home screen humming in the background. "What's wrong?" He paused. "Can we meet, please? Somewhere public." "Public? I need to talk. In person." We met at a coffee shop in downtown Oakland. Not too crowded, not too empty. I picked a corner booth where I could see the door and feel the wall at my back. That probably sounds paranoid, but something in his voice had triggered something in me. That sixth sense that tells you something's not right. Jason looked rough. He had dark circles under his eyes, like he hadn't slept in days. His shirt was wrinkled and his wedding ring was off. "I left," he said, sitting across from me. No small talk. I moved out. I blinked. "What?" "I'm not living with Brielle anymore. Or your parents. I packed a duffel and I'm staying at a friend's place in San Mateo." I stared at him, my brain processing words but not fully absorbing them. "Why?" He exhaled hard and leaned forward. "There's something off, Christy. I thought it was just wedding stress at first, or your mom being overbearing. But it's not just that. Your sister, she's different. Manipulative, controlling. She's been tracking my phone, demanding to see my bank account, screaming at me if I don't post her enough on Instagram." I sipped my coffee slowly, feeling a mix of pity and something else. Something sharp. "I told you she wasn't easy," I said quietly. "She's not just not easy," he said. "She's dangerous." My eyebrows lifted. "Jason, that's a heavy word." He glanced around, lowered his voice. "She threatened me. Said if I ever embarrassed her again, like I did when I didn't jump in to defend her at the wedding, she'd ruin me. Said she'd tell people I was abusive, that I cheated. She even hinted at getting a fake restraining order. I felt a cold wave ripple through my chest. She said all that? He nodded, eyes haunted. She said, "People believe women, especially beautiful ones with big followings." I clenched my jaw. That sounds exactly like something she'd say. He looked at me, desperate. "Christy, who is she really?" I sighed. "A mask," I said. "Brielle is whatever people want to see. She shapeshifts. For Mom, she's the golden child. For strangers, she's a goddess. For men, she's fragile and needy. But inside, she's a black hole. Nothing's ever enough." Jason looked like he wanted to cry. "Do you think she ever loved me?" I didn't know how to answer that, so I didn't. Instead, I said, "What do you want from me, Jason?" He hesitated. "Help." My eyes narrowed. "Help how?" "I want out. Clean, no drama, no backlash." "But your parents? They're already threatening legal action, saying I'm breaking contracts, that they'll sue me for defamation if I say anything bad publicly. Your dad emailed my employer, implying I'm unstable." I blinked. "Are you serious?" He nodded. "I have screenshots." I sat back, overwhelmed. "You're telling me you need, what, a shield?" "I need an ally," he said. "Why me?" I asked. Jason looked straight at me. "Because you've lived with them. You know what they're capable of. You're the only one who's ever stood up to them." I swallowed. It was true. And I hated that it was true. "Okay," I said slowly. "But we do this on my terms. No lying, no hiding. We get receipts, we go slow. You mess me over even once, I vanish." He nodded. "Deal." And just like that, we became unlikely allies. The next few weeks were a blur of private calls, hidden screenshots, and long text threads between Jason and me. We were building a case, not legally, but socially. Documenting every message, every threat, every manipulation. We needed the truth to be undeniable. Brielle started spinning narratives online. Cryptic Instagram captions. "Hearts break when masks fall." "You can't heal in the same place that hurt you." Comments flooded in. "You deserve better, Queen." So sorry he turned out toxic. I wanted to throw my phone across the room, but I stayed silent. Because I had a plan. Then, something changed. I got an email from a journalist. Subject line, "Family drama or media setup." The message was short. A gossip blogger had heard about an incident at a high-profile wedding involving a social media influencer and her tech executive sister. They wanted to know if I'd like to set the record straight. I felt sick. I hadn't told anyone. Neither had Jason. This meant someone close, someone inside, was leaking info, and I had a strong suspicion who it was. Mom. She hated the silence. She needed control. And when silence wasn't working, she started pulling strings to reclaim the narrative. I didn't reply to the journalist. "Not yet, but I called Jason." "It's happening," I told him. "I know. I got tagged in a Reddit thread." "What?" "Yeah, someone started a post on our faux celebs. Title, What Really Happened at Brielle's Wedding." It's got over 10K upvotes. I closed my eyes. She's weaponizing the internet. "Christy, I don't know if we can beat this." I paused. "Yes," I said, "we can. But not by playing defense." There was a long silence. Then Jason asked, "What are you thinking?" I opened a doc on my laptop. "I think it's time we tell the whole story. From the beginning. Our side. With proof." He didn't speak, but I could feel his breath steadying. "Okay," he finally said. "Let's blow it up." We started building a timeline. I pulled up old family photos, voice memos, birthday videos. Texts where Mom called me ungrateful for not giving Brielle my couch. Emails where Dad guilt-tripped me for refusing to co-sign Brielle's failed business loan. Jason sent me recordings. One with Brielle yelling at him for posting his male coworker on Instagram. Another where she mocked him for crying after a panic attack. One where she laughed and said, "If you ever leave, I'll ruin your life and no one will believe you." It was horrifying and validating. We created a shared folder labeled Operation Glass House. The more we uncovered, the more I felt the old Christy peeling away. The quiet one, the compliant one, I was becoming someone else. Someone sharper, stronger, louder, and I didn't feel guilty anymore. Not one bit. I started journaling again, not for healing, but for documentation. Every call, every encounter, every red flag I'd ignored since childhood, and then came the moment of truth. Jason was ready to post. Not a rant, not a drag, but a letter. Open, honest, measured. He emailed me the draft. I didn't want it to come to this, but when silence is used as a shield for cruelty, sometimes you have to speak. I was married into a family that thrives on image, but erodes the soul. I loved Brielle. I tried. I failed. But I refused to be vilified for choosing mental health over performance. The truth matters, and I'm no longer afraid of it. I stared at the screen. I had chills. I gave him the green light. He posted it on Medium. Quietly. No tags. Just a single tweet. My truth. It exploded. Within an hour, the article had 20,000 views. By nightfall, it was trending on Twitter, and that's when Brielle called me. At 3:27 a.m., I let it go to voicemail. Her message was short. You traitor. You'll regret this. I stared at my ceiling and whispered, No, you will. 3 days. That's how long it took for the internet to do what I'd spent years failing to accomplish. Unmask Brielle. Comments flooded in under Jason's post. Been following her for years. Something always felt off. I met her once at an influencer event. She yelled at a waitress for bringing sparkling instead of still. This reads too calm to be fake. No one fabricates this kind of trauma with this much composure. By the end of the week, her follower count started to dip. Not drastically yet, but the shift was visible. Subtle, like a crack in porcelain. She responded exactly how I expected. Drama, a close-up video posted to her Instagram stories. Puffy eyes. Soft lighting. Tragic background music. I just want to say, to anyone who's ever felt betrayed by someone they loved, you are not alone. I never thought my own husband and my own sister would try to destroy me for clout. But here we are. God sees all. The usual hashtags followed. Healing in progress. Watch when they go low. Moi, trust God, not people. And the worst part? She turned off comments. Classic move. Control the narrative. Cut the noise. Play the victim. But the internet wasn't buying it this time. A popular gossip YouTuber posted a 30-minute breakdown titled, The Downfall of Brielle Monroe. Is she the real villain? Over 200,000 views in one day. By now, the story had legs. Twitter threads, Reddit posts, even a meme or two. And then the sponsors started pulling back. I saw the whispers first. People tagging her brand deals. You support this behavior? She's toxic, drop her. By the end of the month, 3 of her partnerships were suspended pending investigation. Jason and I didn't celebrate. Not exactly, but we exhaled. Because for the first time in years, Brielle wasn't untouchable. Then came the email. From Dad. Subject line, You've made your choice. You've burned bridges that can't be rebuilt. Don't expect our help, our support, or our name going forward. You've sided with someone who disgraced this family publicly. You are no longer welcome in our home. I read it twice, then deleted it. Not because it didn't sting, but because it was exactly what I'd been bracing. For since I was a teenager, the day I stopped living to please them was the day I became free. I called Jason. They excommunicated me. He chuckled, dry. Same, I paused. Do you regret it? I asked. Hell no, he said. I've never breathed this clearly. Neither had I. But the peace didn't last long. 2 weeks later, I got a package. No sender name, just a black envelope tucked inside. I opened it slowly. Inside was a single sheet of glossy paper. A photo of me at my job, exiting the office building. Looking down at my phone, and scrawled in red marker across the photo were the words, "Watch your back." My stomach turned to ice. I checked my front door's lock, then the windows, then the back door. Everything was secure, but I couldn't shake the chill in my spine. This was no longer online beef. This was a threat. I reported it to the police. They were polite, but clearly unimpressed. Could be a prank, the officer said. Could be, I replied. Or it could be my sister unhinging. He raised an eyebrow. Family? I nodded. Estranged. He made a few notes. Told me to keep the envelope and to call 911 if anything else happened. It felt like nothing. Like a system not built to protect people until after they've been hurt. So I installed a camera at my front door. Got pepper spray for my keychain. Changed my route home and started sleeping with the light on. Jason was furious. She's escalating. We need to expose this. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. I wanted proof. Real, tangible, undisputed proof, because without it, she'd win. Again. Then I got an idea. Brielle had always been sloppy with her passwords. Even as a kid, she used versions of her favorite song lyrics or birth dates. Sometimes she'd reuse passwords across platforms. So I took a gamble. I remembered a throwaway email she used for early brand deals. Back. Before she had a manager, I tried logging in. The second password I guessed worked. I was in, flood of old emails, Dropbox links, and iCloud backups stared back at me. It felt invasive, wrong, but also justified. This wasn't about revenge. It was about protection. I dug through folders, videos, contracts, old messages with PR agents. Then I found something, a folder labeled "Just in Case" inside, a voice memo. I clicked play. It was her voice. Okay, so if this ever gets out, here's my version of the wedding story. I'll say Christy was jealous, that she tried to make a scene. I'll cry on cue. I'll talk about Dad's heart condition, so people think I was under pressure. If needed, I'll leak the DMs of Jason flirting with my friend before the wedding, even though I told him it was over. Spin matters. My jaw dropped. She'd premeditated the whole narrative before anything even happened. It wasn't reaction. It was strategy. Cold, calculated, cruel. Downloaded the file and emailed a copy to Jason. His reply was immediate. This is it. This is the nail. And I agreed. But we didn't post it. Not yet. I wanted to go deeper. I found a second file. A video clip. Brielle recording herself in her old bedroom mirror. Sometimes I wonder, she said, fixing her hair, if people would still love me if they knew what I really think about them. About anyone who's not hot, not rich, not useful. She laughed. Probably not. But that's why I don't show them. The smirk chilled me to my core. Jason and I met the next morning at a co-working space downtown. Neutral territory, good Wi-Fi, coffee on demand. We laid everything out. Screenshots, videos, recordings, memos. We built a digital case file. Labeled, dated, corroborated, and then we called the journalist who'd reached out months ago. He picked up after 2 rings. Thought you might call? He said. We're ready. I told him. The piece dropped on a Tuesday. Headline, Behind the Filter, The Rise and Unraveling of Brielle Monroe. It wasn't clickbait. It was fact. A profile piece built on documents, testimonies, and media evidence. The journalist had done his job, and the world reacted. Hard. She trended on Twitter again. But this time not for her outfits. For her manipulation, more sponsors pulled out, old friends came. Forward. Former assistants, ex-boyfriends. Even. An old college roommate. The pattern became undeniable. She lost 100,000 followers in 48 hours. Then she vanished. No posts. No stories. No lives gone. Like a ghost. I thought I'd feel euphoric, but I didn't. I felt quiet, resolved. Some people drink revenge like champagne. I sipped it like black coffee. Warm. Bitter. Necessary. But the story wasn't over, because silence doesn't mean surrender, not with Brielle. And I knew, deep down, she'd come back. The only question was, how far would she go? It was a Friday night when the text came through. Unknown number. You think it's over? No name, no context. But I didn't need either. I knew that tone, that chill, smug confidence hiding behind a screen. It was Brielle, back from whatever dark, digital cave she'd crawled into. I stared at the message for a full minute before locking my phone and setting it face down on the kitchen counter. Jason looked up from the couch. You okay? I nodded slowly. She's stirring. He didn't ask who. He already knew. The next 48 hours were calm on the surface. No new posts. No stories. No press releases. Just radio silence. Until a push notification popped up on my phone Sunday morning. New YouTube video by Brielle Monroe. My truth. What they don't want you to know. I sat down, took a breath, hit play, and braced myself. The video opened on her sitting cross-legged in a dimly lit room. No makeup, hair messy. A candle flickering in the background. I haven't spoken out yet, she said, voice shaking. Because I've been healing. Because I've been silenced. I nearly choked on my coffee. Silenced? She posted daily for 10 years. Dominated every family conversation. Had PR agents spinning stories before she even opened her mouth. But, sure, silenced, she went on. Claimed. We edited audio to frame her, that we had a vendetta, that her jealous little sister was emotionally unstable, and Jason was a master manipulator who groomed her into betrayal. My jaw clenched. She didn't hold back, accused us of defamation, threatened legal action. Then, in the final 2 minutes, dropped the nuclear line. I have more, and I'll release it if I have to. It wasn't just a comeback. It was a warning. Jason was livid. I swear to God, if she drags this out into court... She won't, I interrupted. He looked at me. You sure? I nodded. Because if she goes to court, she opens herself up to discovery, depositions, cross-examinations. She doesn't want truth. She wants control. He exhaled. So what do we do? I stared at the paused frame of her video. I tell my story, I said. The real one, all of it. Not just the wedding, not just the Medium post, everything, Jason hesitated. You ready for that? No, I said, but I'm doing it anyway. I wrote for 3 straight days. Nights bled into mornings. I barely ate, barely slept. I poured it all out. The favoritism, the emotional manipulation, the invisible line I was always afraid to cross. I told the story of a little girl who grew up thinking silence was strength. That being low maintenance was love. That fading into the background was how you earned peace. And how I finally realized that wasn't peace at all. It was erasure. The article was called The Sister I Survived. It wasn't elegant, but it was honest, and I posted it at midnight on a Thursday. I didn't check the views. I didn't read the comments. I just turned off my phone and slept for 14 hours straight. By the time I woke up, it had 800,000 reads. I was flooded with messages, strangers, childhood classmates, even my high school English teacher. Some shared their own stories. Some just said thank you. But every word stitched something back together inside me. I met Jason for lunch that weekend. We sat at a corner booth of a diner, shared pancakes and quiet looks. You good? He asked. I smiled. Better than I've been in years. He reached across the table. Took my hand. I meant what I said, you know. At the wedding. About loving you. I know. Still true. I squeezed his hand. Still scary, he chuckled. That's real. For a while it was quiet. Brielle went dark again. No new videos. No new posts. The candlelit pity clip stayed up, but the world stopped listening. A week passed. Then 2. Then a month. I started therapy, applied to grad school, rented my own apartment, with my name on the lease, and my name alone. It was small, but it was mine. Jason came over every Friday. We cooked, we talked. We watched terrible movies and fell asleep on the couch. Healing looked a lot like boring, and boring was beautiful. Then came the letter, certified mail, handwritten, no return address. Inside was a Chu-Aub card, plain white, no decorations, just a single sentence. One day, they'll turn on you too. I stared at it for a long time. Then I set it on fire. Not out of fear, out of freedom. Because that was the last trick she had. And it didn't work anymore. 6 months later, I got an invitation, a speaking panel. Topic: reclaiming your voice after family estrangement. I almost declined. But then I thought about that little girl, the one who whispered her needs, who bent herself in half to fit into rooms she wasn't meant to be in. And I said, yes. That night, I stood on a small stage under soft lights, shared my story in front of 300 strangers, and I didn't shake. Not once, because my voice was mine now. Not Brielle's, not my father's, not anyone else's. Mine. After the talk, a girl about 19 came up to me, eyes wide, hands trembling. "Thank you," she said. "My sister, she's not famous, but she's like that." I thought I was crazy. "You're not," I told her. "You're not alone. And you're not broken." She nodded, teary. "Do you think it ever stops hurting?" I thought for a long moment. "No," I said, "but it stops owning you." And that was the truth. I never heard from Brielle again. Not directly, but every so often someone would send me a screenshot, a post from a new account, a cryptic tweet, a podcast episode about toxic family, and I'd smile because I knew she was still spinning, still fuming, still desperate for the power she once held, but it was gone because I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of her voice, not of her threats, not of being the villain in someone else's story. I had my own story now, and I was the one telling it, Jason, and I took it slow. No rush, no pressure, no fairy tale timelines. Just two people learning how to trust again, to hope again, to build something that didn't start with lies or end in betrayal. 1 year after our non-wedding, we went on a trip. Just us. No photographers, no announcements. We stood on a cliffside in Big Sur, wind in our faces, sea stretching out behind us, and we said vows, real ones, quiet ones. No audience, no applause, just truth, just love. People think revenge is about fire explosions, headlines, epic takedowns, but sometimes revenge is healing in public. Living well, finding joy in the simple, and letting your scars shine under the light. So if you're listening, and you've ever been cast as the villain in someone else's fairy tale, here's my message to you. You are not their story. You are your own, and you're allowed to rewrite the ending anytime you want. Just like I did.